What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Heel Deal Podcast. It's your hosts, Ben and Zach. Zach, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How's it going, Tar Heels?
Oh gosh, it was a hell of a weekend for anyone who watched that football game, huh?
Oh yeah, that's beyond words to me, man. That was amazing.
Yeah, we braved the near heat stroke
in
that first quarter.
We definitely did.
So big shout outs to anyone who was at that game. It was pretty 50-50 USC UNC, so it was good to see a lot of people turn out. We were loud, especially when those USC fans started leaving in the fourth quarter, man.
Yep.
That was a tough look, I'm not gonna lie, for USC. But anyway, why don't we jump straight into the podcast? I'm gonna give you guys a rundown because of course we have some non-football sports that are starting back up. So we'll start with men's soccer. First two games of the season, they tied with Creighton 2-2, and they lost to UCF 1-2. So not a very good start to a team that has a lot of potential, a lot to live up to this season. Women's field hockey, they are 2-0 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They got wins against Michigan and a win against Iowa. Women's soccer, they are 4-0. They're off to a very hot start, and they've beaten Indiana, Duke, Washington, and Portland, all four of those being really good women's soccer schools. So that's huge for them. No doubt they're trying to get back to the finals after they lost last year. And we wish them the best. We'll keep you guys updated with all those scores.
Yeah, and women's field hockey, too. Aren't they defending national champions?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they've got stuff to prove, too.
Man, University of National Champions.
That's right.
All right, so let's get straight into the recap of the game against the University of South Carolina. Man, it was tough to start with, but tell me how you're feeling about that game.
Well, I feel great, man. Especially the way I was feeling going into it. As I said last week, I was not feeling great about it. So, the fact that we were able to get out of there with a win, of course, a lot went into that. But just on its face, I just felt amazing. Like, it was amazing being in there. It was amazing getting to see it in the fashion that it happened. It was great to see the team's reaction after, Coach Brown's reaction after. Just all the emotions involved were just awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It's been like a good couple years since we've had a game like that to be excited about. Right. First game of the season, first game of MAC being back, and we get a win against an SEC team and actually look pretty decent most of the time doing it.
Right.
There was a lot to celebrate, and people were really celebrating. For all you guys who listened to last week's podcast, you saw that Zach and I were trying to temper our expectations and trying to be realistic. We didn't think that we were going to win this game. And, at halftime, I didn't think we were going to win it either. It was tough. But let's talk about that first half,
Right.
It's like we said, I think everyone expected them to let Sam Howell get into the game a little bit. They're not going to start throwing back shoulder fades and play action bombs, in the first quarter of your first game as a true freshman. But, they warmed him up a little bit. A lot of slants, a few screens, things like that, and he looked accurate.
Yep.
I think once they realized that they had to make some adjustments in the second half, the training wheels came off, and he started flinging the ball.
Yeah, and we ran the ball a lot in the first half, a lot in the red zone too, that I feel like may have costed us some points there. Mm-hmm. It was the first two times we were in the red zone, we ran the ball on all three downs and had to kick a field goal, and we were kind of thinking, all right, we need to start trying to throw the ball a little bit more in the red zone as opposed to just handing it off. But in retrospect, it looks like that was part of the plan. We knew they were going to have to establish the run, but even whenever it looked like we have to pass here, like 3rd and 9 in the red zone, why would we run the ball? They still chose to run it to really establish that that's what they're going to do. So later on, we really could, go deep and start pulling the trigger.
Yeah, exactly. They just really decided to stick with the game plan, and it was driving us crazy because it was the first quarter. It was 95 degrees outside, and then we run it on 3rd and goal from the 9-yard line. Yep. It was so frustrating. We attempted 4 field goals, made 3 of them before we ever scored our first touchdown in the fourth quarter. So I don't know. I was thinking this is not a very good start. What is Longo doing? But once we started opening it up, and once we started opening up the pass game, it fed into the run game, and the run game fed into the pass game, and everything just started flowing so much better in that third quarter.
Yeah, but one thing I want to point out, though, we're talking about the first half specifically, is how the defense picked up some of that early slack by the offense, whether if it was slack like where we really thought we could score off those runs, or if it was more of a decision like, okay, we know we may not get in here, but we need to establish that run nonetheless. Regardless of which way the offense was looking at it, the defense really helped us stay in that to where it was manageable, to where we could come back in the second. Because, in the first half, they scored a touchdown off of that blown coverage. And then, after that, they were able to recover, and they didn't ever have a mishap like that again for the rest of the game. They improved drastically. They even made Bentley look stupid for most of the second half. So kudos to the defense for sticking through the first half when we really needed it.
Yeah, exactly. If we start getting down like 2-3 scores, you can't keep sticking with the run. Then we're kind of forcing it. But no, I totally agree with you. The defense really stepped up. I think the first half, we of course had that blown coverage where their tight end got open on the seam, which seemed like a miscommunication between like a linebacker and a member of the secondary. I don't know exactly which two players that was, but man, that made it 20 to 9 at that point.
I think that was the one that made it 20-9. Yeah, because at the time I know they were already up by more than a field goal. But anyway, yeah, it was a miscommunication, and obviously it was our fault there. I mean, if anybody's that open in the red zone, it's probably the defense's fault.
Yeah, exactly. But besides that, we had some tackling issues. I think throughout the game, and luckily it didn't bite us too much in the butt. But we had a real hard time wrapping up our tackles, especially on the quarterback. There were at least 2 times when a guy got into the backfield on a well-designed blitz or just a great individual effort, and then somehow could not take Bentley down. Yeah. And Bentley is not a mobile quarterback.
No,
it's just they couldn't take him down.
Yeah, and I saw Chaz Surratt being somebody who had a couple of situations like that, and that's understandable. He had a great game, though.
He really did.
While speaking on Chaz, I wanted to mention him because given his position change and all the stuff he's gone through over the past year, to see him go out there and be one of the leading tacklers. Playing middle linebacker, going from quarterback to middle linebacker. I mean, that's really awesome to see him out there, even if he did miss some tackles. That's really awesome to see him play that well.
Yeah, I mean, that was his first game, so hopefully it only gets better from here. But, I mean, he even got a shout-out from someone from Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
He was like the second best defender on the field that day, and it was his first game as a defender. So it's just wild, and hopefully he has a lot of upside for us this year.
Yeah, and one other thing, too, while we're talking about the first half specifically, defense and stuff, remember the corner situation. Patrice was out. We lost Trey Morrison in the first half to an injury. He had remember that play where the South Carolina guy lost his helmet, but he kneed Trey in the head so hard that on the replay, he's trying to get up and falls back over. It was honestly kind of scary. But we lost him, so then Storm Duck had to come in. We were, down 2 corners, already kind of thin there when it comes to experience, and we still got through that first half without getting down too much against a team that, we know can put points on the board.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think it's a huge testament to just the coaching. Like Dre Bly, what he's done with the secondary. Yeah. We had at least 2 just pure coverage sacks or coverage. We forced Bentley to throw the ball away because literally nobody was open. We contained their wide receivers really, really, really well, and especially as you got into the second half and they started playing from behind, which is where you want to air it out more. It just, good things led to more good things. Good coverage led to better pass rush. Better pass rush led to the quarterback having to get the ball out quicker or taking sacks. It was altogether pretty good. But now that we've talked about the defense a bit, what did you think of the offense? What did you think of Sam Howell in his first game as quarterback?
Well, first half, you kind of touched on it earlier about how we're going to kind of let him get into things and let him throw some quick passes and stuff and let the run get established. And we certainly let the run establish, and we threw some little quick routes. But I'm really, really impressed with his deep ball. I mean, we were talking about that up in the stands after he threw the first one to De'Ami Brown, even though De'Ami made probably the best catch and for the entire week one. It may be one of the best catches all season, and it's only it was only week.
Yeah, actually, Max said it's one of the best catches he's ever seen.
I
know we freaked out.
Unbelievable.
It was on the left side of the end zone,
yes,
and we were over on the left side, and I could not believe my eyes.
Yeah.
I thought it was overthrown, and then he got a hand on it. That was wild.
Yeah, Ben and I were up high enough where we kind of had the whole row to ourselves at the moment, so we kind of like ran the entire row and like freaked out. We just could not believe that he came down with that one. But besides the fact Diame made a superhuman catch, it was a great ball by Sam. I mean, it was put in the perfect spot. The corner had great coverage. And then we saw it again later. He threw a great pass to Bo Corrales on the other side of that same end zone.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that was an even better catch. It was only where Bo could go up and get that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big receiver as it is, so you just, put it up there in the right spot, let him be the only one that can come down with it. And, especially when you factor in kind of the struggles we had in the first half on offense, throwing the ball and stuff. He did take some hits.
Yeah.
Some of those could have been prevented because he didn't slide. But, he kept getting up. He kept fighting. He didn't get rattled. And he threw, great passes when we had to have them.
Exactly. I mean, his throws for the vast majority of the game were very on target. He looked really good. I think the time when we saw like the freshman jitters the most was sometimes he would hold onto the ball in the pocket a little too long, or he would just escape the pocket when his first read wasn't open, and so that's when he's taking those unnecessary hits. That was also when he fumbled the ball. Luckily, we recovered it.
Yep.
So once he gets a better feel for the pocket and a feel for the speed of the college game, that'll hopefully become better and better. But I couldn't be happier with Sam's performance. And just for the record, he went 15 for 24, 245 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. He had that one near interception when he escaped the sack barely. He spun around. That was like almost Brett Favre-ish. Ran out of the pocket and flung like just a wobbler that somehow went through the defensive back's hands and then went into Daz's hands. I can't figure out like how the defensive back didn't pick it, and then I also can't figure out how it managed to go into Daz's hands. It's those kind of like special plays.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many things have to happen for that to work out. I mean, to start with, he has to be able to get out of that pocket when he's getting it come down, then get out of it, throw a good enough ball where it doesn't, just get tipped and then ends up getting picked off of something easy. Then it goes through the defender's hands. How that guy's still kicking himself about that. He's probably never going to forgive himself. And then Daz had the awareness to like. It had to be like no more than 2 or 3 feet away from the defender that it went through. I mean,
it's so hard to maintain concentration when the ball gets tipped a little bit.
Yeah. And he can't even see the ball. I mean, because the guy's right in front of him, so he's he gets maybe like half a second to realize, oh, it went through his hands. I can still catch this, and then catch it, get foot down and bounce because he was over by the sideline.
Yeah. Honestly, like live, it didn't look like Sam was even aiming for Daz. I thought he was aiming for whoever like fell over right in front of him. Like, oh, that's a pick.
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
And he still may have been doing that, but he would probably say, no, it was all planned that way.
Exactly. So hopefully, maybe he doesn't throw that if he gets that ball back. Because I don't want another.
Right.
I don't want to test that theory again, but I mean, those training wheels went off pretty quickly. He averaged 10.2 yards per pass. So it was not just checkdowns like we thought it might be. He was airing the ball out, and I think we're going to look for that to continue against Miami. But speaking of Miami, why don't we move on to the big game next Saturday? Is our home opener at night against the Hurricanes. We might be playing it in a hurricane.
Yeah, there's a chance we could get some heavy rains and stuff later in the week. So you're right. It could be playing the Hurricanes in a hurricane, which is very poetic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really hoping that this game is still on. Me
too. Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to. Right now, who knows what it's going to do at the end of the week, but while we're recording this, it says the hurricane's going to hit us, or we're going to get some rain like right around like Thursday night, Friday morning. So hopefully it'll clear out by then. Hopefully it won't affect Miami's travel plans.
Yeah, that's the main thing I was concerned with regarding the game, is whether or not they would be able to get here. So I certainly hope that they are going to be able to do that, because I'd rather play them now than have to reschedule it later in the season.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, this is a huge game. So Miami lost that week 0 game, if you want to call it, against Florida, but they did not look too shabby at all.
No,
they kept it close. They kept with Florida. They got some timely turnovers that kept them in the game.
Yeah, week one's always hard because you unless you just follow the team habitually, it's hard to tell whether or not one team looked bad and then made the other team look good, or if one team looked good and the other one looked bad. So, like, we don't know if Florida looked bad and that's why Miami looked good, or if it was actually Miami looking really good and Florida was also a good team too. So it's hard to tell until we really get into the heart of the season. But you're right, they didn't look shabby at all. They have a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent on Miami's team. Their defense is still stacked personnel-wise. Their offense has a bunch of skill players around the field that really looked good. They got a lot of team speed, which is always, killer. So yeah, this is by no means going to be a easier game than what South Carolina was. I think actually it may be a harder game than what South Carolina was, even though we are at home.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. It's going to be a tough game, but it's going to be a really entertaining game. And I think because we're coming into this 1-0, Kenan Stadium is going to be electric. I think every student that can get their hands on a ticket is going to be at this game because it's a night game, because it's a good matchup, because Mac is back and we're 1-0. I could not be more excited for this.
Yeah, the student tickets I think are all gone now. So the student section will be completely full. I can't wait to see it like that. Coming off of last year, like the Western game, our last home game, there were more crickets in there than there were students at times. But yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, it's going to be electric. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see Kenan Stadium full. I can't wait to see the energy the players have when they see Kenan Stadium.
Exactly. I mean, you saw towards the end of the game, especially after we got that first and second interception, and it was more clear that we were going to win against South Carolina. The players felt it. And they were going crazy. That was making the crowd go crazy. And there hasn't been that kind of exchange and that kind of energy in the past 2 seasons, honestly.
Right.
They were not doing this when we beat Pitt because, people could tell this was not going to be a good season at that point. People weren't doing it against Western because we had 7 or 8 losses at that point.
Yeah, that's just a throwaway game anyway.
Exactly. So seeing the players respond to the crowd, respond to the game, it was really great to see. So they are going to feed off of the crowd. And I think we're actually going to have a home field advantage for once.
Oh, no, dude. I can't wait to hear how loud it's going to be. Like that moment when the team's getting ready to come out at the tar pit right beside us. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a moment I'm probably never going to forget. I just know it's going to be the most amazing sports experience I've probably had here in my time in Chapel Hill. So I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. But why don't we get a little deeper into the X's and O's?
Sure.
What are you seeing from Miami from an offensive or defensive perspective that's just interesting to note for us?
Yeah, well, one thing I want to point out is that last year they were definitely a pro-style offense, and this year they are much more of a spread attack. And I think that's mostly because of the head coaching change, but it's just more of last year their offense wasn't very good. Their defense carried them to only I think a 7-6 season. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of room for improvement there. I think that they are doing better now with the personnel they have than what they were trying to do in a pro style. I think this personnel grouping is a lot better for a spread. You can just see that from looking at Florida. They're just so much speed on the field.
Yeah.
And when you have speed on the field, you don't want to line up and run one back power like Alabama does. You want to spread them out and make them cover the entire field with your speed. So that's what they're doing. A couple things about the offense that I want to point out. The offensive line could be a weakness. I know when we were watching the Florida game, the left tackle was somebody who we kept noticing was getting beat almost every play. Now,
dude was getting made fun of.
Now, Florida did have good defensive ends, okay, but this guy was having a hard time, okay? Exactly. So I think that could be a little bit of a weakness for them, especially that left side. So maybe we could send some blitzes there, maybe try to sneak in an extra guy from time to time whenever maybe he gets comfortable where he's in, not expecting it, to try to confuse it a little bit. But, that's definitely an area I think we could exploit. Quarterback is Jaron Williams. He's a first-year starter. There was a lot of, controversy whether it would be Tate Martell or if it would be him. Mm-hmm. And they ultimately decided on Jaron Williams, and he had a decent first game, but he definitely looks like he's, just coming on. He's not, all that comfortable yet, so that's another thing to remember. And the other thing I want to point out about Tate Martell, how the Saints last year were able to have a lot of success with Drew Brees, and sorry, his name is slipping me right now. The other quarterback. Taysom Hill, sorry. They had a lot of success using him in different form. Kind of put him at quarterback, put Drew out there, use Wildcat, use all these different cool things, and it worked out for him. I wouldn't be shocked. Point is, I wouldn't be shocked for Tate Martell to be involved with
he played some snaps at wide receiver in that first game.
Yeah, but I think he could get moved in, maybe try to get a trick play going with him at quarterback. We need to remember going into this that he can throw the ball. So if he's out there at receiver, don't get caught over pursuing him on a screen that looks like just a screen, because it may be a screen pass.
Yeah.
And I think that they could do something like that. They didn't do it week 1 because it may not be ready. But I just think it's something that we need to remember. It's something that I thought about when I'm watching their film against Florida.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We didn't make too many mistakes besides some missed tackles and besides that blown coverage against the tight end against USC. But as long as we can keep that pressure, I honestly think USC has a better offensive line than Miami does.
Me too, yeah.
But we got a lot of pressure, not only from coverage, but drawing up, I want to say exotic blitzes. They weren't that exotic, but it was stuff like, dropping back a tackle and bringing in a linebacker or having some stunts, and that really, really confused South Carolina. So if we can't create pressure one-on-one, drawing up some interesting blitzes will definitely put the heat on Miami's quarterback.
Yeah, and I think even more than just the pressure you're talking about was just the play of Anthony Crawford by himself. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. He was taking up 2 offensive linemen almost every single play. So that was really good to see him play that well, because I knew we were going to have him. One last note on the offense I want to make, though, and this is a very important one. I think this guy's probably going to give us a lot of trouble, is a tight end, Brevin Jordan. And he, he's awesome. He's 6'3", 245 pounds, but he runs like a receiver. Mm-hmm. And they line him up in every part of the field. They were throwing screens to him against Florida. They were lining him up at tight end, at slot even. I think he even went in motion sometimes. They're going to use him in so many different ways, and he's a big body and he's fast. So I would look out for Brevin Jordan to make a big impact on this game. It's going to be tough to stop him.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, our entire defensive backfield is going to be in the game. Don't have to worry about suspensions now. So hopefully we can continue what we were doing so well against that USC game.
Yeah.
Especially Woolfolk. I always mispronounce his name because I want to say Wilfork, but he had those 2 interceptions. This guy was on fire. The first one was, it was more of a center field play that he got under, but that second one when he jumped the route, that was beautiful, and that helped seal the game. So look for him to continue that hot streak, especially against a quarterback making his second start. This is a guy who can be prone to some mistakes. So I think we got to put him in some sort of position to make those mistakes.
Yep, I agree. Yep, Miles was jumping the seam route and cover 2 from the opposite side of the field. That's a very common interception right there. But you're right. We got to throw stuff at the quarterback that's going to make him uncomfortable, and I think we can do that much more than we could against Bentley because Bentley was experienced.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they do there. I'm excited to see how the defense handles it, especially being at home. We have the noise behind us now,
Exactly. So why don't we talk about how our offense might match up against their defense? What should we continue to do? What things might we have to change from last game?
Well, I don't think it would be smart for us to harp on the run this much because Miami's defense is, South Carolina didn't have a bad defense by any means. They had a good front 7. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
They flat out did. They had Kinlaw, Brunson, all those guys. But Miami's defense is the strength of their team.
Yeah,
flat out.
Well, especially with Diaz as their head coach now.
Yeah,
defensive minded guy.
Yeah, and they're going to run a bunch of different fronts against us. It's going to mostly be a 4-3, 4-2-5 type of thing, but they run a striker position, which is basically that safety linebacker hybrid that's becoming so popular nowadays. Mm-hmm. And that guy, Romeo Finley, is the guy that they have doing that. He's an impact player. So he's going to move all over the place. He's going to be sending pressure. He's going to try to get to Sam. We got to establish the run, but I think earlier on than we did against South Carolina, we got to start taking some shots down the field. Do not let this Miami defense get so close to you that they can take the ball away and be aggressive, because if we let them do that, they're going to pin their ears back and they're going to nail us at the line of scrimmage all night because they're probably more talented up front than we are, flat out. So we just have to be ready to kind of counter that and make them respect the whole field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. Yeah. I think it really just starts with sticking to that game plan, obviously, but having I want to say a better mix of the run and the pass than we had in that first quarter. We had 9 points for the first 3 quarters of the game. I don't think we can afford to do that. I don't want to chance having our defense have to save us in this game again.
Yeah.
Until we start getting hot. And I think the training wheels are going to be off Sam, and I think they know that. He's got a game under his belt. I think we're going to start seeing some more throws a little earlier on this time.
Let's take some shots early.
Exactly.
Let's give him a chance to do it. So that I hope it works out well for us. We got to establish the run, take some shots early, make them cover the whole field. Don't let them use their quickness and their aggressiveness, and we should be able to score some points on them.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anyone on UNC's offense that you're looking to have a big game here who might play a really important role?
Well, I mean, one of the ways you can counter such fast defenses is with somebody who can really pound it. I mean, make them use their strength and let them use their speed. So I think we could see Javonte and Antonio Williams get some touches at running back this week because, they're not a small defense by any means, but their strength is speed, right? So you don't want to try to beat them with speed. You want to try to beat them with the counter of that, and the counter of that is strength. And, that's where we could really pound it inside and try to get into C gap and stuff and make those linebackers hit instead of just move laterally and play coverage and have fun doing that.
Yeah, I was going to, echo exactly what you were saying. If they have a linebacker who favors a more safety-style skill set, that's when you got to punch the ball down because Javonte, especially with how well he ran the ball last game, he'll run this guy over compared to, a big, burly, traditional middle linebacker.
Yeah, most of those linebackers, at least from what I can tell on film, I haven't stood beside them in person, but they look like they're just big safeties.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and they hit like they're linebackers, don't get me wrong, but they look like big safeties, so we need to make those guys play at the line of scrimmage more and don't let them get comfortable just using their lateral quickness.
Mm-hmm. And just like last game, once we start punching it down their throats, that opens up the deep ball.
Absolutely.
So everything goes hand in hand, and hopefully we see that happen again this game.
Yep. In conclusion, make them cover the whole field. Don't let them focus on one particular thing because if they do that, they're probably going to get to us.
Exactly. So why don't we get into the end parts of this episode? So again, we're always going to do a UNC will win this game if, and then we'll both do a score prediction. So Zach, let me ask you, how is UNC going to win this game? What's the one thing they need to do in order to go 2-0?
Well, it's going to coincide with what I think the one thing I'm looking forward this week is. Like we're going to do that too, and that's going to be how Sam Howell maintains his composure. Mm-hmm. I think if he maintains his composure and he has a similar type of game, maybe more yards because we're going to throw it more hopefully. But if he can maintain his composure and has another really good game, I think that's the way we propel ourselves to victory here because this is another really good team. We're going to have that all-around tough play again. But I'm looking for him to have another really good game coming off the high that he had from the last game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I think that we got some great pressure on Bentley, but Jake Bentley, he's a 4-year starter. He knew what he was doing, and we still managed to rattle him a bit, force him into 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. I think we need to double down on that and force this brand new quarterback into similar situations where there's so much pressure, either from great individual play, well drawn up blitzes, or just simply great coverage. That we can force him into some errors.
Right.
So I'm looking to have a ball hawk secondary, see if we can get a couple more interceptions. I think that's going to be the key, is winning this turnover battle.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that, too. We're going to have turnovers going our way.
Mm-hmm. So give me your prediction, Zach. Are the Tar Heels starting this season 2-0, and what is the score going to be?
More than likely you'd think that after what I saw Saturday, my instinct would be, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that it's going to be a toss-up, and I thought a lot about what I think is really going to happen, but I think that this Miami team is even better than South Carolina, and I think that they're probably going to beat us 30-27.
All right, real close.
I'm sorry, I can't. Like I said last week, guys, I'm going to be realistic. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't say that I think we're quite ready to beat Miami yet because I think they were actually looked good against Florida. I don't think that was just smoke and mirrors. Mm-hmm. So and that wasn't even at Miami. That was on like the Orlando game. So they weren't even doing that at home. I think they're probably going to beat us by a little bit. My score prediction would have been more lopsided had we not played so well Saturday, but I think Miami's probably going to get out of here with a very, very close win. I wouldn't be shocked if one final drive is when they get that field goal to beat us. That'd be devastating, but I wouldn't be shocked if it happened.
Yeah.
This is a really good football team.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I guess for the first time this season, we're going to have to disagree, Zach.
Oh, sounds good, man.
I am on the Mac Brown train now.
All right.
The Tar Heels really surprised me with that last game, especially just the kind of mettle that they showed bouncing back, after trailing for 3 quarters. When we talked about that last episode, we said, when we get down, not if we get down, but when we get down, how do we respond? And I think the Tar Heels really responded well, and they're going to carry that momentum into an electrifying Kenan Stadium at night. I think that it's going to be, in some regards, like an air battle. It's going to be Sam Howell is going to have to fling this ball because I don't think our defense is going to play as confidently against Miami as South Carolina. So I still think we're going to get away, but get away barely. Same score margin. I think it's going to be a 3-point game, but I think we're going to win 33-30 on a walk-off field goal.
All right.
And the crowd's going to go insane. We're all going to run out there.
Going to lose our minds if that happens, man. That'd be
Do we
awesome.
storm the field if we finally get a win?
To be honest with you, I think it would just be fun to do it just for the psyche of everyone involved. Let's just storm it. I mean, let's just have fun.
Man. Oh, I'm so excited, though. Praying that the hurricane doesn't impact the game. First of all, I'm praying no one gets hurt in the hurricane. I'm hoping Coastal Carolinas, they'll be okay. But hopefully this night game still goes through, and we see if this UNC team is here to play or if week 1 was just a fluke.
And I hope I am wrong once again, guys. I hope I keep getting proven wrong whenever I don't pick us this year. So I hope that it's our walk-off field goal that wins it, not their walk-off field goal that wins it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess one last thought I want to leave you with this, Zach. If we can beat an SEC team, why can't Duke?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. I mean,
Duke has no excuses, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They couldn't get out of that with a win. I mean, they weren't really playing anyone of any caliber.
Yeah,
so
just shows that we are the superior ACC team. But anyway, it's been awesome talking to you guys, and I can't wait for this game. Again, hit us up on Twitter. We're at Heel Deal Podcast to get our take as the game comes up, and then while we're there, of course, we'll be at that game live.
Yep, we will be. We'll be in the student section making a lot of noise.
Yep. So from your host Ben and Zach, this has been the Heel Deal Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. And what's the saying, Zach?
As always, go to hell, Duke. Congrats on getting killed by Alabama, guys.
Better luck next week.